This conference will now be recorded.
Now, yesterday what we did, we took scenario number one, wherein we were processing automatic payment program for the vendor, manual payment for the vendor. Now, let me take same thing as scenario number two. So here I'll put same point, create a vendor, post one invoice and pay it through automatic payment program. So here what I'll do first is, let me go to vendor master. I'll go to BP business partner. So yesterday we were working with a business partner, I guess 2000 Palak stores. Let me open the same business partner. Now I'll go to supplier role, which is finance vendor, and let me go to change mode. And here if you see, this is your local vendor because our company code is in India. This vendor master is related to India. Vendor master is telling this vendor belongs to India. As a result, we are telling this is the local vendor. For local vendor, whatever the payment that you process is called as local payment or domestic payment. In short, your company code currency payment. Now in the same vendor, what I'll do, I'll try to process the automatic payment program for this. Okay, already we processed manual payment. We were able to issue a check. Now what we will do, we will try to process automatic payment program. Let us verify without doing any additional setting in the vendor master if we are able to process the automatic payment to the vendor. First, what I'll do is, let me run the vendor line item report to see if there is anything outstanding. Vendor line item report is your FBL1N. I'll put same vendor 2000. If I click on execute, there is one invoice outstanding for 2000. There is one invoice outstanding for 2000. Now remember, in order to execute automatic payment program, payment method is mandatory. In order to execute automatic payment program, payment method is mandatory. In our vendor line item report, we have already included payment method in the layout. Payment method is already part of your layout. If you see for this particular invoice, payment method is blank. When we say payment method is blank, this invoice is not supposed to be processed from automatic payment program. This is our expectation. Reason, there is no payment method in the invoice level. Point number one, payment method is updated in the invoice level. Currently at the invoice level, there is no payment method. Now what I will do now, I'll try to process the automatic payment program. Let us see what system will do it. If system is giving any error, what error message we are getting, let us try to verify. We have already completed basic automatic payment program configuration, plain automatic payment program configuration without adding any further functionalities to it. Now to process or to execute automatic payment program, transaction code is F110. Remember, we have to be very thorough, we have to be very clear with the way you have to execute automatic payment program. Any scenario that you have, you are going to execute it in this same way without any changes. So what I will do, even when you are practicing, always practice for the current date. When I say always practice for the current date, let's say today you are processing the automatic payment program, do not create it with future date, do not create it with past date. In short, if I am with today's date, today is what, 29th November 2023. When you are working on this automatic payment program in the real environment, nobody will create it with the future date, nobody will create it with past date. If I am creating it today, I am supposed to put today's date. Similarly, when you are practicing, when you are testing, make sure you put the same content here. Today's date must be given, not past date, not future date. Identification, you can give any identification up to 4 digits. It is purely your choice. whatever you give is your choice. Let's say I am going to take 1, but up to 4 digits it is your choice. Whatever you give is up to you. Next one, after giving run date and then identification, you get a message at the bottom stating no parameters entered yet. We are talking about automatic payment. In order to carry out automatic payment, system needs some instruction. Based on your instruction, system is going to process automatic payment. Now for that, you have to give instructions to the system. Your instructions are given to the system by way of parameters. So you will find a tab called parameter here. If I click on this parameter, you will find some criteria here. This is nothing but search criteria. On this criteria, system is going to search if there is any outstanding liability or if there is any open item which is supposed to be processed within your category. If the search criteria is satisfied or if your parameter is satisfied, you will get green indicator on the proposal. If your search criteria or parameter criteria is not satisfied, you will get red indicator in the proposal. Now I have to give the date here. Posting date is nothing but payment document posting date. Since I am processing a payment today, I would like to give the posting date as today. Even in real time, you will do the same thing. Next one is your documents entered up to. This is basically entry date. This is basically entry date. Normally, you will always take current date for this. When I say current date, I may be recording the transactions today also. If I don't give today's date, if I record the document today, system will not consider that for automatic payment program because of documents entered up to. Always remember, this is strictly current date. Even in real time, everybody will use current date only. Next one, customer items due by. Since we are not processing anything for customer, we are not going to include any date for the customers due by. Next one, you have company code. Input the company code for which you want system to process the payment. Currently we configured it for company code 9000. Let me put company code 9000 here. Next one is your payment method. All your automatic payment is based on payment method. Without payment method, there is no APP. So strictly you must input payment method. We are including or we are considering payment method C for our company code. C I am going to place. Next one is your next posting date for the payment. So you are telling the system current payment is today, which is 29th. You should also tell the system when is the next payment date. If I say next payment date is after a week, system is going to consider the due date for the current invoice. If the current invoice due date is becoming overdue by next payment date, that invoice will be paid today. If your current invoice is still not due by next payment date, it will be excluded from today's payment date. In the next sessions, in the next scenarios, I will show you due date calculation and we will practically run the scenarios where system has to exclude some invoices, where system has to include some invoices. Practically we will do with multiple invoices. Now currently what I will do is I will take current payment date plus 1. Minimum plus 1 should be there. Current payment date is 29. What I'll take next payment date is 30th November 2023. And let this get reconnected. And meanwhile, if you look at the vendor line item report, due date for this invoice is 28th. Due date for this invoice is 28th November 2023. Now, if you see the status as on today, this is your overdue. As on today, it is overdue, which means by today it has to be paid. It cannot wait until next payment date. So whenever your invoice becomes overdue or it becomes due, it will be processed in current payment run. There is one more status which is nothing but not due. There is another status called not due. If the invoice is not due for current payment and it will be due for next payment run, it will be included for next payment run and it is excluded from current payment run. Now, according to this invoice due date, it must be processed today because it is already overdue. Now, we are expecting system to pick this 2000 payment for this particular vendor. What I'll do is I'll go to automatic payment program. Next posting date for payment I am giving as 30th November, and for which supplier you want to include or you want to run the automatic payment. I'll put 2000. I am giving the single vendor, but in real time we will put all the vendors. You will simply put 1 to all Z or blank to all Z, which includes all the vendors to be included from your company code. Since we have only one vendor, I am testing with single vendor. I am running for single vendor. In the next payment runs, I will add multiple vendors, multiple invoices. I'll put this. Now this is what is my parameter criteria. What system is going to do? System will go to this company code and it will look for the invoices that are processed with payment method SSC, and it will look for these vendors only. In this company code for this vendor, any invoice or any outstanding liability is updated with payment method C and which is due before this date, which is due before 29th. In short, next payment is 30th. Anything which can be processed before 30th November, which means it cannot wait until next payment run. All those will be part of your current payment run. So after giving all this information, let me proceed to save this. Now the details have been saved, which means your parameters are updated. Once parameters are updated, let's go back to the status. If you come back to status, you will get a message stating parameters have been updated. Now it is telling a green indicator. Earlier it was red because parameters were not updated. Once parameters are updated, it turns green. Once your parameter is updated, automatically you will find two more options on the top. One is your proposal, the other one is payment run. First thing, you have to run the proposal. Based on the proposal, you are going to see whether system is giving you the right list of your payments, or if you need to modify anything, you can update or you can modify the list. To run the proposal, click on this proposal icon on the top. Here start date is today and the start time is immediately. This is the same way that we use in any project. Current date and then start immediately. Click on schedule here. When you click on schedule, you will get a message proposal is running. Just press enter on the keyboard, or you can click on this refresh icon on the top, status or a refresh icon, and you will get a message payment proposal has been created. Now to see the proposal, do not go to edit proposal. You are supposed to go to display proposal first. Let me go to display proposal. If you go to display proposal, system is picking one line item, but this is coming in exception. Exception means red indicator or red light. If you get red circle or a red light, red indicator, this means this is an exception. Exception represents your parameter criteria is not satisfied. Something is missing from your parameter. That is reason it has become an exception. Exception means you have to check and update manually. If everything is clear according to your parameter, by default system will give a green indicator, which means all the parameters criteria has been satisfied. Now we have to understand why this is coming into red and what is missing in it. First, I'll try to just search this. If I go right side, this information is coming. The amount it is showing as 2000. 2000 is liability, 2000 is coming here. However, that is not coming in green, it is coming in red. Now here also you can update the layout according to your requirement. You can update your layout. If you see this, everything is coming, but it is coming in red. Now we have to understand why this is coming in red. If you see this, there is something called payment method, but payment method is blank. And we understood for automatic payment program, payment method is mandatory input. For this, payment method is blank. What I'll do, I will come back. Let's say since there is only one record now, we are able to check manually, we are able to understand payment method is missing. But in real time, when you run the automatic payment program, nobody will run for single invoice. Nobody will run for single vendor. If it is a single invoice, if it is a single vendor, everybody will prefer manual payment over automatic payment. When you're running automatic payment program, number of vendors are more, number of invoices are also more. Here what I need to do, I need to understand why it is coming red. So I need some input, I need some help from the system. Why system did not detect that as green indicator, why it is taking into exception. It is becoming an exception because of some reasons. For what reason it is becoming an exception, we have to understand. To understand that, you have to refer the log. There is something called display proposal log. This proposal log we have to refer to see the reason why it was in exception. Let me click on this display proposal log. Now if you see this, you are getting a message, but nowhere you are able to see any log. You are getting a message, but there is no log. Why it is green? Why it is red? Now there is no log because we have not enabled any log. In order to get the log, you have to enable or you have to activate the log for the vendor account. To enable the log, you have to come back to the automatic payment program. There is a dedicated tab called additional log here. If you click on this additional log, we did not enable any log here. None of the checkboxes enabled. Since logging is not enabled, system did not update any log. System worked according to what instructions were provided to it. We told there is no log required. That is reason log was not enabled. Once proposal is created, log is not enabled. Now you want the log for the proposal. What you need to do is, now once proposal is created, log cannot be modified. Once proposal is created, log cannot be modified. What we need to do is, we need to delete the proposal. Only then you can edit the log once again. In order to delete the log or in order to do anything for your automatic payment program, first thing that we need to do is, you have to go back to the status tab again. Let me click on this status tab here. If I click on status tab, the current status is parameters are updated. The next status is proposal has been created. Now in order to edit the log, you have to delete the proposal. This line should be deleted from here. To delete it, go to edit. Now what we want to delete? We want to delete payment proposal. You will find it proposal tab here. If you click on proposal, from the drop down list, select an option called delete. Because our intention is to delete the proposal, click on this delete icon. When you click on this delete icon, it is giving a prompt whether you really want to delete the proposal. If you yes, click on yes, proposal will be deleted. Let me click on yes. Now when you click on yes, proposal is deleted. Now the current status is parameters have been created. When the status is only parameters are created, all the tabs can be updated. Now let me go to additional log. If you see the additional log, now this is editable. Always remember, in this additional log, even in real time, strictly we will enable 1, 2, 4. You don't enable third one. You want in all the cases system to provide the log, whether it is in successful state or it is in failure case. If you enable the second one, system will create the log either in successful case or in the failure case. If you enable the third one, system will create the log only in case of error. Okay, so but we don't select third one, you always select 1, 2, 4, and then for which vendor you want the log. If you want for all the vendors, you will put from number blank to number all set. By default, all vendors are included. Currently, we are talking about a single vendor. I will enable only for the single vendor 2000. After enabling the log, click on save. These are all part of your parameters only. Now, if I go back to the status once again, it is not showing anywhere that the log is created because it is part of your parameters. It is part of your parameter. If I check the additional log, log is enabled, and if I go to status, parameters have been entered. Now let me try to run the proposal. I'll click on proposal here, schedule proposal. Same thing, date by default. Just enable start immediately, click on continue. Press enter. Now you will get a message, payment proposal has been created. Once proposal is created, click on display proposal on the screen. If I click on display proposal, what is system showing? It is still showing exception list. Exception list means red indicator. Something is missing from your parameter. That is the reason it has become an exception. Why this is an exception, you have to understand. That reason is found out now in the display proposal log. Let me click on the log. If you click on the log, you will get this parameters or you will get this content displayed here. You just have to read through this. Due date determination, it says 00 grace period is being considered. Payment must take place before 28/11. Next payment on 30/11. Next payment on 30/11. Now why it is telling? It is telling 28/11. If I go to vendor line item report, in vendor line item report, due date is 28/11. So system is telling payment must take within the due date because next payment is 30/11. If due date is after next payment date, it will exclude it. Since the due date is before the next payment date, if you do not pay this today, it will become overdue by the time of next payment. So that is the reason your next payment date is always important. Based on that, system will decide whether to include one invoice document in current run or to exclude from the current payment run. And it is telling item is due with 0% cash discount, which means there is no discount, there is no payment term related to discount assigned to the invoice document, which is correct. We are not capturing any discount here. Next one, payment method selection additional log. Now here you will see payment method selection for items due now to the amount of 2000, and none of the payment method C has been entered in master record or in document. It is giving two options. It is saying I am not able to find the payment method C either in the master record or in the document, which means payment method can be updated at two levels. Point number one, in the vendor master data. Point number two, in the transaction data. Transaction is nothing but your invoice document. In this case, if you look at the vendor master data, if I take you through the vendor, this is your vendor master data, in short BP vendor, and here you have to go to company code segment. Select your vendor master BP role for the company code and click on the company code tab on the top or company code segment. If I click on this, you are able to see the different icons here: company code, supplier account, reconciliation account. There is a dedicated tab related to automatic payment program, that is your vendor payment transaction. If I click on this tab, there is something called payment method. There is something called terms of payment. In short, payment terms are currently blank. If I scroll down a little, there is one more section called automatic payment transaction. In automatic payment transaction, system is giving you an option to input payment method. In master data, there is no payment method. That is what your log is telling. In the log, it is clearly mentioned none of the payment methods C has been entered either in master data or in document. Now you are able to see the master data. In master data, there is no payment method. Log is telling correctly Next one, it is telling in the document. Let me go to vendor line item report. If you look at the vendor line item report, this is the document that we are trying to process the payment. In this line item or in this document, there is no payment method. If you see payment method, it is blank. Now it is clear that system is telling I need payment method either in the master record or in the document. Currently, none of the places payment method is updated. Because of this reason, your invoice cannot be processed. Reason is very clear. Now what I'll do, I will come back. Now I wanted to see if I update payment method in master data, will it work? So to do that testing, what we need to do, we need to delete the proposal. To delete the proposal, go to edit, click on proposal, click on delete. Proposal is deleted. Okay, what I'll do now, first point I will check. I'll go to vendor master data and I'll try to put payment method here. We're talking about payment method C. I will update payment method C. Let me proceed to save this. Okay, changes have been saved. Next thing what I'll do, I'll come back here. Now I will come to automatic payment program screen. Let me try to run the proposal once again. Now payment method is updated in the vendor master record, not in the transaction. Enter. Proposal has been created. Let me try to display the proposal. If I display the proposal, still it is red. I updated in the master record, but when I update the proposal once again, it is still red. It is not becoming green. So what I'll do, I will go back because my expectation is it is to become green. The expectation is to show this as green, which is still not achieved. Come back. I'll go to edit, proposal. I'll delete this once again. Delete the proposal. I updated in the master record, but it did not flow to the transaction. What I'll do next, I'll go to this transaction. I'll select this transaction document. I'll click on change. And in this change mode, let me update the payment method here. I'll put payment method C. Enter. I'll click on save. Now the document is saved. What I will do is I'll go back to the automatic payment program screen again. In this screen, I will run the proposal once again. This time what we did, we updated payment method at the document level also. Let me go to let me click on schedule proposal once again. Press enter. If I press enter, proposal is running. Let me look at the display proposal now. If I click on display proposal now, it has become green. When it becomes green like this, it represents according to your parameter, everything is satisfied, which means the criteria that you have given in the parameter is satisfied with this transaction. That is why one proposal is created with green indicator. If anything is missing, system will create the proposal with red indicator. Now what I'll do here is, this is invoice number 1. This is your invoice number 1 for 2000. Now every time if you don't want to move left and right, you can create a layout here. When I say you can create a layout, you can update only the fields whatever you wanted, and with that field you can create a layout. Same option here. Wherever you talk about layout, it is the same icon. Go to change layout, update whatever the fields that you want to see, and remove whatever you do not want to see, so that by looking at the proposal, it is very clear. You get two options here. Those two options you will find here. One is payment, the other one is exception. If it is green, it is called as payment list. If it is red, that is called as your exception list. Currently this is your payment list because everything is aligned with your proposal. Everything is aligned with your parameters inside the proposal. Now what I'll do, point number 1 that we have to notice here. First thing, we updated the payment method in invoice document in the master data. It did not work. Afterwards, we updated the payment method in transaction. It got updated, and then system has given proposal with green indicator. This time I will complete this payment. This time what I'll do, I'll complete this payment, or what I'll do is I'm not completing this payment. So what I'll do, I'll try to create one more invoice. I am going to delete this proposal. So I'll go to edit, proposal, delete. I'm not executing because it is the same process. Whether I execute one time or 10 times, it is the same process. When we see the same thing repeatedly, things will get registered in our mind. Now to create one more invoice, what I'll do is I'll copy this invoice 19 all zeros is X. As we understood, to create another invoice, you don't have to process everything from the scratch. Go to FBR2 or post with reference. 19 all zeros is 6. Enter invoice number 4. I'll put invoice number 5. And this date, I'll take today's date 29. Enter. And 2000, I'll change this amount to 500. And this amount also I'll update here 500. Baseline date also, this one amount I'll remove. Payment method I'm removing now because payment method is updated in the master data. Payment method is updated in the master data. I don't want to update it in the transaction data. Now I'll go to vendor line item report. Let me refresh the data list. Refresh. If I refresh it, there are two outstanding invoices. One for 2000 with payment method C, second one with 500 without any payment method. Let us see when I run the proposal now whether system will create payment list for 2500 or payment list only for 2000 and exception for 500. So according to the point that we've seen so far, if there is no payment method in the transaction level, it is not part of a payment list. It will be part of exception list. Let us verify if this 500 will go to exception or it will go to payment. What I'll do, I'll go back to automatic payment program. Same thing, same parameter, same criteria. I'm not changing anything. I will execute proposal once again. Enter, enter. Proposal has been created. Let me display proposal now. If I click on display proposal, it is giving two lists. One is your payment list, the other one is exception list. I'll go right side. If I see this, only one is coming in the proposal list where payment method is updated. The other one is not coming in the proposal list where payment method is not updated. Right. So what I'll do, I will go to this vendor line item. I'll select this invoice also. Let me go to change mode and I'll update payment method here also. See. Let me save this document. Enter. Now if I refresh the report, payment method is updated in two documents. Now if I delete this proposal, if I redo the proposal, there should be nothing in exception. Both the transactions should create one payment for 2500. Let me go back, edit, proposal, delete proposal. Okay, now again click on create proposal, enter.
Ajay, sorry to
Enter.
interrupt you.
Yeah.
But when we are updating the vendor master, it should take directly, right? Why it's not taking?
Here, I'll come to those points again.
Okay.
So we're seeing different scenarios so that all these points we will clarify one by one practically. Okay, now I'll go to display proposal. If I go to display proposal, now everything is coming in green. Now what I'll do, I'll go right side. If I see the amount, it is now showing amount is 2500. What I'll do is I'll change this layout because every time I don't want to move left and right to see what information is there. I'll go to this layout, change layout. Now amount paid, this I want. Supplier, customer I don't want, payment receipt. So, customer I do not want. Reason I don't want. Currency, business, place. I'm not able to select multiple, so I'll have to move one by one. Name is here, country, region. This is fine. I'll simply move this. Amount paid in local currency, amount paid foreign currency. I'll just take this up, move up. I'll simply take it to the top. Then I'll bring it down slowly. After supplier, I'll take this amount, and I also need payment method. I want to see payment method. This is your payment method. I'll take this to the top. Then I'll take it down one by one. Okay, this amount also I want total. I'll just enable sum here. One sec, it got stuck. The screen is stuck. Okay, now I'll save this layout. I'll put my name here, user specific default. Continue. Okay, now when I see this, at the beginning only now I'm able to see payment method and I'm able to see the total amount. Now if you see, it is creating one payment document. This is nothing but payment document number. It is going to be created as a single payment. Now it is a single payment, but this is not a single invoice. If I select this, if I double click on this, it is giving you the list of two documents. Now one scenario here is if you have two invoices, currently what system is doing, it is processing a single payment document. Now if your requirement is to make sure that if there are two invoices, you want the system to generate two payment documents. Now one invoice is for 2000, the other invoice is for 500. Our intention is to process two separate payment documents against each invoice document. In that case, what we need to do is you have to go to the configuration screen, FBZP. Now we have to understand where you will do it. Let me go to payment method in company code 9000 payment method C. Now you have different options, different settings here. Now we need to understand which setting will allow us to process this. Let's say there is something called grouping of items, single payment for marked item. Let me enable this and let me try to save it. What I did, I just enabled single payment for marked item. Let's see what will happen to the proposal after this. But what is our expectation? Our expectation is to make sure two payment documents will get generated, one for 2000, one for 500. I will come back. Let me go to edit, proposal, delete proposal. Yes. Now I will try to run the proposal once again. Enter. Now let me go to display proposal. If I go to display proposal, now you are able to see system has generated a proposal separately for each invoice. Invoice 2000, there is a separate payment document number. Invoice for 500, there is a separate payment document number. This is your internal document number. Once you go to the next step, payment, that is where system is going to update actual payment document number here. This is your temporary document number. If you want a separate payment for each invoice, you need to enable this icon here. Now similarly, each icon you have to pay separately. Like each icon you have to test separately. You understood the functionality of this now. If you enable separate payment for each invoice, if you disable it, single payment for vendor. Next one, you can also put payment per due day. Whatever the invoices due on a single day, it will group the payment documents based on the due date. Now what I'll do, I'll remove this. Let me keep this as it is setting. Next thing what I'll do is, I will delete this proposal. Now next experiment what I want to do is, I will change the due date for one of the invoices. Currently due date for two invoices. If I go back to the vendor line item report, first invoice is due on 28th November. Second invoice is due on 29th November. According to our payment proposal, if I go to APP screen again, let me go back to the parameter. In parameter, if you can see the next posting date, it is updated as 30th. It is updated as 30th November. What I will do is, I will put the due date after the next payment date. So I will change the due date for this. To change the due date, what I'll do, I will change this 2000 due date. Now I'll go click on this, change. You have something called baseline date. I will change this to 1st December. Let me try to save it. When I change the baseline date to 1st December, let me refresh it. You can see the due date is updated as 1st December 2023. Now the status of this document is currently not due. Status has become not due. Now, according to the due date, it is 1st December. Next payment is on 30th November. Now this can be still paid in 30th November, which is next payment. So what system will do? We are expecting system to exclude this 2000 from current payment run, because it can be still part of next payment, which is scheduled on 30th November. Now let me delete this proposal. When I delete the proposal, when I redo it, we are expecting proposal to give the payment document only for 500. 2000 should not generate any payment. It should be part of your exception. So I'll come back. I'll go to edit, proposal, delete proposal, yes. Now I will execute proposal once again. Schedule proposal, enter. Now let me go to display proposal here. If I go to display proposal, if you see, automatically system excluded 2000 invoice. Why system excluded 2000 invoice? Because of the due date logic. What is the due date logic? Your invoice was due on 1st December. According to the next posting date, you still have another posting on 30th November. Your payment due date is after the next payment date, which means 1st December invoice can still be paid on 30th November. That is the reason it straight away excluded, or it straight away ignored the invoice which is outstanding for 2000 due to be paid on 1st December. Clear? Like this, slowly you have to understand. Now we are seeing different scenarios, but we are not consuming any case. We are only simulating, but we are able to understand how system is behaving when you are changing the settings. This system behavior is what we have to catch. If you are able to understand this system behavior, you can create APP for two to three times. You will be thorough with APP. Let anybody ask any question, you will be in a position to answer in a comfortable way. Now this is another point. Next, what we will do is, now if I go back to this, now there is something called a minimum amount, there is something called maximum amount. Now what I want to do here is, I want a system to process the automatic payment program only if invoice value, or only if the amount is more than 1000. If the amount is below 1000, I don't want system to process it in automatic payment program. Now there is something called minimum amount, there is something called maximum amount. To meet our requirement, we need to put minimum amount. I will say minimum amount to process the payment is 1000. Enter. Now it is giving enter maximum amount that is greater than minimum amount. So if you are leaving it blank, you have to leave both the blank, or if you put minimum amount, you should also put maximum amount. I cannot say minimum amount is 1000, maximum amount is blank. This is wrong. So your maximum amount is supposed to be greater than minimum amount. What I'll do, I'll simply put all lines here. I'll reduce few digits. This is what I'm going to put. Let me click on save. Now with this setting, what we are expecting system not to process invoice which is outstanding for 5000, because that is not part of minimum amount checklist. Let me go to automatic payment program. The current proposal, if you look at, it is 500, but our requirement was to process the automatic payment program only if the amount exceeds 1000. Let me come back. I'll go to edit, proposal, delete proposal. Now let me run the proposal once again. Enter. Enter. Payment proposal has been created. If I click on display proposal here, it is giving 500 still. It is still giving 500. Let us verify why it is still giving 500, wherein you have given a setting. If the minimum amount is less than 1000, it is not supposed to be part of automatic payment program. Now let us see if system had given any information related to this in your log. Let us go to log. Now you can see anything related to minimum amount, cash discount is here, tolerance days is here, nothing related to minimum amount here. Nothing is related to minimum amount here. Now what I'll do is, I'll go back to the setting again. Here what we did at company code level, we have given minimum amount 1000. Let me go back. Yesterday while configuring, we have seen the amount setting in some other place also. Now let me go to payment method in country. In this setting for country India, payment method check, if I double click on this, and here if you see, there is no setting related to amount. Let me come back. Now I'll go to another setting called paying company code. Let me open paying company code. Our company code is 9000. Double click on this. Here you have one more setting. At company code level, there is a control. I will put 1000 here. Same thing. I'll put, no, this is only minimum amount. There is nothing called maximum amount. I am giving 1000 here. Let me save it. Enter. First we have given it
That is
company code.
incoming payments.
Sir, we have
Sorry.
given incoming payments.
Yeah, sorry. outgoing payment. Let me save it. First, what we did, we have given in the company code payment method combination. It is not working as expected. Next, what I am giving this control at the paying a company code level also. Let us verify if system will restrict this invoice for the payment processing or not. Our requirement, system should not consider this 500 outstanding in the proposal because it is less than minimum amount. To run this again, same thing. Go to edit, proposal, delete proposal, and then click on display proposal again. Enter. Now let me go to display proposal. If I go to display proposal, now it has become red. Earlier it was green, now it has become red. Let's see why it has become red now. To understand the reason for this red exception, go to log. If you go to log, you will find an option here. It is giving payment amount 500 falls short of a minimum amount of 1000 INR. Payment amount 500 falls short of a minimum amount of 1000 INR. Now, another point here. We have maintained the setting at 2 levels. So what I will do now, this 1000 it is taking, I'll go back. Now, if I go to this payment method in company code for 9000, here also we did this. Then what is this 1000 limit? What is that 1000 limit? Let me remove this here. Okay, I removed this setting now. When I remove this setting, let me try to redo it. If I remove this setting here, whether system will still restrict it or it will allow us to process the payment. I'll go back to the proposal once again. Let me delete this proposal. Delete. Yes. Now let me run the proposal again. Let me see the display proposal. It is still red, which means minimum amount is checking at the company code level. Now when system is checking minimum amount at the company code level, is this minimum amount for total payment to the vendor or minimum amount for the individual invoice document? That we have to understand. So what I'll do, I'll go back. Let me delete this proposal for time being, because one invoice is 500, which is below minimum amount. Next thing what I'll do is I will update this due date back so that the total payment will become 2500. If you look at the total payment for the vendor, which is above your threshold or above your limit of 1000, let me change this due date back to today or 28. Change. I'll edit this to 29.11. Save it. Now if I refresh the report, it has become due now. It has become due. Now system should pick 2500 as the payment amount, whereas minimum amount that we have given is 1000. Whether system is going to consider individual invoice amount to exclude the payment or the total outstanding amount to exclude the payment, let us verify now. What I'll do is I will run the proposal once again. Let me go to proposal now. Enter, enter, enter. Proposal has been created. Let us verify what will be the result here. If you see this, system is giving only one transaction as payment, which is 2000. 500 is not coming as payment amount. Now we have to see why this 500 is not coming as payment amount. Let me come back. To see the reason, you have to go to log. Come down. Now it is telling payment amount 500 falls short of minimum amount 1000. This means this minimum amount is not at company code level. This minimum amount is at individual invoice level. I'll go to the setting here. In the configuration, I'll go back because this setting is not working. We'll talk about that setting later on. I'll go to paying company code. In paying company code, for our company code 9000, we have given minimum amount for outgoing payment 1000. To understand what exactly is the functionality of this particular field, click on help icon on the top or F1 on your keyboard. We need to read this. An outgoing payment is created if the amount is equal or exceeds the amount specified. So either it should be 1000 or it should be more than 1000 to include it in the APP. But by specifying a minimum amount, you can prevent the system from generating payment for amounts that do not justify the expense incurred to make the payment. Now here it is not mentioning anywhere whether this is part of total outstanding or this is at individual invoice. This help is not giving you the clear instruction, but when you do testing, you are able to figure it out. It is working at the individual invoice level. It is checking each and every outstanding line item. If the line item outstanding is more than your minimum amount or less than minimum amount. If it is less than minimum amount, it is not picking. If it is more than minimum amount, it is picking. Now what I will do is, in the proposal, invoice amount is 500. System is telling it should be either equal or more than. Now I'll try to put 500. What I'll do, I'll put 500. If I put 500, now our invoice is equal. If I put 500, our invoice value is equal to 500. Let us see if system is going to allow this 500 as total payment. Now our expectation is to get 2500 as payment list. Nothing should be in the exception list. What I'll do, I'll come back. Let me delete this proposal once again. Edit, proposal, delete. Delete proposal. Yes. Again, let me run the proposal. Continue. Proposal created. Display proposal. Now, if you see 500, it is including. So the statement, whatever the system is giving you, the minimum amount should be either equal to or beyond that. Now you may get this exact similar questions in your interview. Somebody might ask you, when you say minimum amount for paying company code, how does it work? Can you give me an example? Now whatever you are seeing, the same thing you have to talk, same thing you have to explain, or same error you can talk as your support ticket. Say that in your client system, client wanted to have the minimum amount for this outgoing payment. We configured it. You can say that your understanding was wrong. Sometimes you can say that it was your fault, it was your understanding mistake also. Say that you got a ticket wherein your client was telling minimum amount is supposed to be 1000. If the minimum amount is less than 1000, we do not want you to process outgoing payment. Tell that you did the configuration, you put 1000, but while doing the testing, you forgot to test it. Say that it was your mistake and you moved it until production. Later on you realized no, system is behaving in this way. Say that that was one of the learnings that you had from your mistake. And once your client had processed the payment, client had come back stating that this is not working as expected. Even though the amount is less than 1000 or more than 1000, system is still not working as expected. Then you say that I replicated the exact scenario wherein I found that I understood at that time that system is working or system is considering not the total payment, it is considering individual invoice payment. You'll have to tell these kind of a simple valid or meaningful errors, issues that you have committed, because sometimes they will ask you, tell me a situation where you went wrong, or tell me a situation where you found things were easy but you found it complex. Say that you thought this is a very simple ticket, you completed this within a day, you moved it to production, you tested, everything was done, but later on I understood that this is not the way to test. We need to test things in a sequential order. These kind of explanations will give a different opinion to your interviewer. When I say different opinion, you are telling that this was your mistake, and you are also telling why the mistake had happened, what you did, and then how you rectified. So these points will give you a very good positive opinion in the opposite person's mind. Though you are telling that because you are accepting this was your mistake, and you are telling what you learned from your mistake. And similar activities and the similar approach, a similar mindset we have to apply in most of the scenarios. And this way, what we are giving and what message we are passing to the interviewer is you are clear about, you are clear and you are confident about how things will work in a project when you're doing the configuration, when you're testing. If you do not test it practically or thoroughly, what are all the consequences of it? You have practically experienced it. These points, when you mention, especially in the interviews, not only on this, on many things you can mention, but not silly mistakes, justifiable mistakes like this. When you test it, we normally do not test to that extent. To that point to point, we do not test. We do a generic testing. In short, a random testing, we will do it. Some cases may fail, some cases may pass. Some issues you will get only when you move it to production. So this is one of the cases you can talk. Now, if there is a requirement, if there is a requirement that if the total amount should exceed or the total amount level should be verified, then how do we match it? This control point we understood, this is checking only the minimum amount for individual invoice level. Let us go back and let us verify this one. Payment method in company code. If you look at this one, here also you have minimum amount, here also you have maximum amount. Let us see how does this minimum amount, maximum amount will function. To understand this, you don't have to do anything, just click on search help here. If I put this minimum amount for a payment using this payment method, this payment program will select the payment method. The minimum amount is indicated for only if the payment amount does not follow below the minimum amount. Excluded are items explicitly assigned a payment method. Here the indicated payment method even applies if the payment amount falls below the minimum amount. We have to understand this by doing a thorough testing. When I say thorough testing, you need to run a scenario and then you need to verify how system is exactly behaving or working for this. Now these experiments you have to do while practicing. It's not that same thing you're practicing, you have to pick one particular field like this. Read how this functionality is working, check if you're able to understand it and replicate the scenario. Right? So this one I want you to experiment. If you're unable to do it, I'll explain you in the next session, but take this as an assignment to experiment how exactly this minimum amount, this maximum amount will function. And tomorrow if somebody is asking you what is the functionality of this, make sure you're able to answer with an example. Okay, now maximum amount, it is telling the payment method specified is only selected by the payment program if the amount does not exceed the limit specified here. It is talking about some limit, maximum amount. It is talking about the limit which is your minimum amount. It is talking the payment program will select the payment method. The minimum amount is indicated is only if the payment amount does not fall below the minimum amount. Now what we will do, we will try to put this restriction. Now I'll say minimum amount as 1000 once again. Now there we have put this one. What I'll do is, now one is your 500, the other one is 2500. Let me verify the total. Let me verify the total. In the total I will put this is 2500. Let me change total to 4000. I'll say 4000 is minimum amount and I'll put some maximum amount is this. Now I'll click on save, enter. Now here also I have to change at paying company code level also. let me make a correction here. Here also I'll put, here I'll not put any restriction. I'll just save it. Okay, I'm not putting any restriction here. Let us verify how system will behave now. To see the impact, delete the proposal. Go to edit, delete proposal. Now click on proposal again. Enter, enter. Now if you go to display proposal, both are coming in payment list. Nothing is going to exception. Now you have to come back and then you have to see. Now when you are working in the real environment, when you are working in any project, this is how you have to test to understand any particular functionality. It's not that you will find out content from Google or any other sources. You have to experiment. When you're experimenting, you do not have to create so many cases. You do not have to create app a number of times. So far we have not even posted a single document in app, but we're able to simulate, we're able to understand different cases how system is behaving, because the intention is to understand how system is behaving. Once we understand that this is how system is behaving, when you actually run the payment run, when you actually get any errors, by looking at the error you can easily understand, check this, I think that thing may be wrong here, I need to verify, check if you have given this randomly or spontaneously. You can put some questions to the user, or if somebody is asking, we can spontaneously give some valid answers. That comes only when you see things in a different way. Now what I'll do, I'll put minimum amount for outgoing payment. This time I'll put 1000, not 1000. Yeah, I'll put 1000. Let me save it. Now I will come back. Now for this, let's see if there was any log created. And we cannot see any log which is related to minimum amount, payment method selection, due now. Nothing is there in the log. What I'll do, I'll come back, I'll go to edit, proposal, delete the proposal. Yes. Now again I will run the proposal because I made a change in the config now. Enter, display proposal again. Now if I do the display proposal, it excluded the first one, which means 500 invoice, it stopped because of minimum amount criteria not satisfied. There we have put 1000. Here the invoice is below 1000, which is 500. Now I want you to explain me the functionality of this. I want you to explain me the functionality of which field? Minimum amount, maximum amount in payment method in company code. If you look at this, how system will work this. Take this as an assignment. Explain me how system is going to work with this scenario. These are all very simple. They sound a little tricky, but if you sit and then practice 2-3 times, you will find the solutions automatically. You just have to sit and then experiment 2-3 times. But when you're experimenting, be very conscious what you're trying to do, what was your requirement, what changes you are making, how system is working. Sometimes what will happen, we frequently change a setting, but we forget at the end of the day what changes we did, which change worked for us to solve the problem. You will be able to solve the problem, but you will forget what change had created the solution for yours. Right? That should not be a problem again. Again, you will not understand what change had worked out for you to solve the problem. So that is why you should not make all the changes in one go and then test the system. Instead, if you are not clear, if you are new to the system, you need to understand the functionality, go step by step. Once you are clear with the functionality, how system is behaving, then you can do whatever the way you want, because you have that clarity, you can understand it. But initially, please do not do it. Go at a slower pace to understand the system behavior. Now this is another one. Next one, what we will do is single payment for marked item we have tested. Next one we will see payment per due date or payment per due day. Now what I'll do, first we are not looking at the functionality. I'm just enabling this payment per due day. We are assuming payment per due day is nothing but due date. Okay, let this get saved. And anyways, our both the invoices are due on the same date, 29th November, 29th November. But before that, what I'll do is I will remove this setting for minimum amount, because it will not allow that 500 invoice to get processed. Because of this restriction, I'm removing this restriction. Like this, we have to test different settings here. Now I'll come back here. Now what we are expecting is, based on the due date, a system has to group the payments. Based on the due date, system has to group the payment. Let me run the proposal. Currently there are two invoices. Two invoices are due on the same date, which is 29th November. Let me click on display proposal. If I click on display proposal, it is becoming single outstanding for 2500. Now to confirm that this is how the system is behaving, what I need to do, I need to do a change to confirm that this is how the functionality is working. So for that, what I am going to do is, I will change the due date. If due date is different, system is not supposed to group it. I will edit any one due date. Okay, I'll change this due date to 28. I'll save it. If I come back and if I refresh the report, we are supposed to see two different due dates. One is due on 28, the other one is due on 29. With this setting, system is not supposed to group the payment. It is supposed to do a separate payment based on the due date. One payment for due on 28, another payment for due on 29. Let me go to payment, APP, come back, edit, proposal, delete. Delete proposal, yes. Now let me do the proposal once again, enter. Now if I go to display proposal, let's see what is the result. If you see the display proposal, it is still the same. There is no change. Even though the due date is changed, it did not work as expected. Now let us see if there is anything updated in the log. Display proposal log. Now due date, if you find anything related to due date, let us verify. We don't find anything related to due date. There is nothing related to due date. Now our understanding is not up to the mark. Why not up to the mark? Because according to our understanding, if the due date is different, system is supposed to process payment separately. If the due date is the same, it is supposed to process the payment collectively. Now what I'll do, I'll go to the setting. So where did we enable that? Payment method in company code. Open payment method C, payment per due day. Now I'll check this functionality. Now if you see this, there is an example, which means in order to understand this logic, you have to read through this. Okay, in order to understand the logic, we have to read through this. It is telling the due date of the paid item. The same for all the item is stored in the header record of the payment. The date can be referred in the payment medium print and in the data medium exchange. In order, for example, to pass on an individual run date to the bank every payment. Now you have special considerations. It is telling indicators specifying that only items that are due on the same day will be paid with a single payment. Now You have some examples here. You have an invoice, you have credit memo, you have invoice, you have invoice. Now it is having due on 210, this one is due on 211, this is due on 211, this is due on 212. Now grouping these items by due date result in the following arrangement. Due on 210, 210 there is only one for 1000, it will be 1000. Now due on 211, 500 and 200. So net of 500 to 200, because 500 is a credit memo, it's a 300 amount. Now the third one is your due on 212. For 212 there is 700, it is a 700. In the above case, the items from 211 would be grouped with the payment, grouped with the items from 212, resulting the following payment. 1000 can be paid, 400 can be paid. It is telling 210, 212. Now these logics we have to understand. First one, it is your 210, 1000. Second one, it is telling only 400. In short, if you see, it is grouping. On what basis it is grouping? You have to understand this content. When you understand this, you will understand how system is grouping it. Okay, now this you take as another assignment. This one you take as another assignment. Try to understand. Example is here, explanation is here. All you need to do is create the same one. If you are unable to replicate the same scenario, create the similar invoices, same credit memo with the same date. You can change the month but put the same date. This is all the month, February month, 10th, 11th, 12th. You can put the same 3 days, continuous 3 days with a similar approach in any of your vendor. See how system is behaving. With that, whether you are able to understand any logic or not. Whether you are able to understand any logic or not. Okay, this is one more point I want you to experiment. And last one, you have extended individual payment. In the grouping of items, you have the last one, extended individual payment. Now to understand what it is, you need to click on the same point, question mark. Now it has got another explanation and you have got an example also at the bottom. There is another example at the bottom with different scenarios. We have to understand this. Now these scenarios are not commonly used, very rare. Majoritarily you will not be using the second one, you will be using only the first one. If your client says majoritarily, nobody wants multiple payment documents for single vendor. If you are paying a vendor today, you will be paying a single document. It will be a single payment. You are not going to process two payments, you are not going to transfer separately for the vendor, because for every payment, if you have to issue a separate check, you are going to waste a lot of money, you are going to have a lot of transactions, because every check leaf will cost you something and you have to sign 2 times on 2 checks, or you have to send payment 2 times. If a bank is charging per transaction, let's say 10 rupees or whatsoever, for 2 invoices, if you have to transfer, you may end up incurring 20 rupees as a charge. If you process a single payment, single check is enough, single sign is enough. If you are transferring amount for 2 transactions, single payment transfer is sufficient. You will end up incurring only 10 rupees as a transfer charge. Alright. Now these functionalities you have to slowly enable, and then you need to test immediately. It's not that you will read through what it is, that is not going to help you out. In the system, practically try to experiment. When you're experimenting, you will come to know different points. Okay, when you're getting errors, don't give up. Try to understand why the error is coming. Okay, and try to read the error messages, what error messages are coming and how you are going to understand it. Don't go to Googling it. Don't Google it. If you Google it, definitely you will get the solution, because whatever the thing that you are doing, somebody else would have done long back. Because from last 40-50 years, SAP is there in the market. You are doing it in 2023. SAP is there in the market from 1970s. People like you, people like me would have done so many times. Everybody would have got, or many of us would have got the similar error. You will find a solution or at least some lead if you Google it. But don't do it. Don't depend on it. That's always the last option when you give up. If you think that you put in your all your efforts, now you're giving up, you feel that you cannot achieve it, then go to Google. If you feel that yes, I can try to crack this issue, don't Google it. Try if you can figure it out yourself, because this is not a very complex thing, this is a simple thing only. By that way you are going to understand different functions. Okay, now I'll come back. Currently I did not process any payment. Currently I did not process any payment. I'll just come back, and we are still at the proposal only. Now I'll go to edit proposal. I am deleting proposal. Now I want all of you to run automatic payment proposal till here, whatever we did. Create one invoice. Try different scenarios that we did now. Whatever the scenarios we executed, I want you to execute. Don't run the payment, just run proposal, display the proposal, understand what is happening, and then delete the proposal. Make different settings. Now if you have one invoice, if you have two invoices, now create, when you're testing, add another vendor also. I tested with a single vendor, you test with two vendors. Create two vendors, create three vendors. See how system is behaving. When there are multiple invoices, how system is behaving. But add multiple vendors. First you understand with single vendor. When you're clear with single vendor, then try to add multiple vendors. Then see you're not getting any confusion. First get the logics, understand it with single vendor, so that you will get how system is behaving. Whether you have one vendor, whether you have two vendors, one invoice, 100 invoice, logic remains the same. You should always go by the logic. If you understand the logic, automatically you will get the clues, you will be able to understand. So that way you have to try and then understand the same logics, same understanding, same thought process you have to apply everywhere in SAP FICO. Because everywhere more or less minute changes, in the similar way you have to proceed. Understood, right? What you need to test, just do only the basic config, don't do any additional settings. All the additional settings we will execute as part of a scenario. Practically we will understand to do this, what settings needs to be done, and then how system is changing the functionality. If you understand this, you will get more than 50% of APP understanding. Whatever is remaining is a simple scenario. Even if I give you hints, clues, assignment, you will be able to complete it. But this is the basic understanding to run the automatic payment program with different scenarios. Not creating APP, completing the payment, that is not going to help us understand practically. Any questions so far? Swarna? You're there, Swarna? Gandhi?
Yeah, bro. Actually, I want to know what was the use of business partner. So we are creating with vendor, right? So
In S4HANA, business partner is mandatory before you create vendor. So this is the system requirement from S4HANA perspective.
okay, do we get any reports from those business partners for business?
No, no report for business partner. It's only a prerequisite before you create a vendor. You're converting business partner as a vendor by assigning vendor role to the business partner. Once your vendor is created, you will just ignore the business partner. Everything the way you work in ECC exactly works the same way. Your vendor report,
Okay,
everywhere you call it as vendor, nowhere we call it as a business partner. Only during the master creation, business partner is a mandatory prerequisite. Once BP is created, you will extend vendor role to BP to convert business partner as a vendor. After that, whatever you do with vendor in ECC, you will do exactly the same in S4HANA. No changes.
okay. And one more thing, in the payment, how can we change the second bank account at the proposal time?
So that is part of your transfer payment. Currently, we are testing with the check payment that we will do in the next session.
Okay, okay.
So that is
Thank you.
applicable when you're transferring amount to the vendor account. That is where if you have a vendor with multiple bank accounts, which vendor you wanted to pay. Sorry, which bank account of the vendor you wanted to
Yes,
process. Is that what
yes,
your question?
yes, 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 yes.
Yeah, that we will do in the next session.
Okay, fine. Thanks.
Yeah. Rupa?
Hello, Ajay.
Yeah.
Hello, sir.
Hello.
Yeah, I can hear you. Go ahead.
Yeah, Ajay. Uh, why payment method is not running when we give it vendor level?
That I'll show in the tomorrow's session when I run for a fresh vendor.
Okay, but in real time, how the end user will give? Will they give through line item or at vendor level?
Line item level, they have to give.
But if they obviously they will have multiple vendors, right? Like how they will do? I do know like they will make with mass change.
No, whenever vendor master data is created, updation
Mm,
of payment method becomes mandatory. Whoever is creating the vendor master, they are aware that how this vendor has to be paid, whether they wanted to pay this vendor by check or they wanted to pay this vendor by transfer. If it is a check, in the master data, they will put check.
mhm.
If they wanted to pay this vendor by payment, sorry, the bank transfer, they will put a transfer payment method in the master data. This is mandatory update in every vendor master that is created if automatic payment program is applicable for that client.
Okay, then every vendor will go with only one payment method, not with two.
It depends. Now in the
Okay, if
vendor master, what you will do, you will give in the sequence. If I go here, currently what I have given C. Now, if vendor also requires a transfers, I'll put transfer related payment method, which is T, without giving any comma, without giving any separator. So that system will understand, it will take the first one as priority. It will update C automatically when you're processing the automatic payment.
then when it will accept T for which invoices it will take T
You have to put manually at the
in
transaction
line
level. If
item.
there are,
Okay.
correct, if there are more than one, you have to manually put in the system. Otherwise, the system will assume and it will take the first one, which is a C.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. Ramesh.
In the master data and invoice level, we are giving this payment method. For example, if we are giving one payment method like wire method, some C here check and transact. In while run here it is C. While running, if you are giving F100 there, if you are giving another payment method, how system will behave? It will accept or it will show an error.
It will not consider because system will take whether your payment method, whatever is given in the F110, either it has to be there in your vendor master data or it has to be there in the vendor transaction, which means at the vendor invoice level. Either at the master or at the transaction, it should be there. If it is not there at both the levels, it will not include it. It will take that vendor into exception list because payment method is missing, right?
Correct. So
Yeah.
for example, in my client view, I could not see the C payment method. I could see wire method, urgent method, or some other methods are there. In that case, my client is not using check payments, right? Or how it will be?
Correct. They are not using check payment. It is not mandatory to assign in the master data, even though if it is not assigned in the master data, but at the time of a transaction, whatever you put, that is final.
Okay. And one more thing, every time that data log for one or two posting invoice, we can able to identify. But if 100 invoices are there, means which invoice having error, like how would we find out?
The log will
It
be
will
more. It'll be big. It'll update the log for everything. Wherever there is a mistake, only then the log is created. If everything is clear, log will not be updated. Log is only to understand the exceptions, why it is becoming an exception, because of some reason,
yes, yes.
like something
But
is missing.
is
Yeah,
there any
go ahead.
filter or an option is there to find out particularly that it is having in the
No, you have
lab?
to refer. You have to refer manually only, or you have to do a control F. Whatever is
Ah,
coming in red, you will be finding that document number, right, which is coming in red.
yes, yes.
In that log, do a control F, put that document number. If there is any log for that document number, it will highlight that.
Okay, okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah. Tunde.
Thank you, Ajay. I just finished an interview. The question was around the CVI in the BP creation, which we have covered. What scenario do we? Um, I know you showed us the BP customer, but what considerations do we have to take into place if it's the other way around, where it's customer to BP?
Customer to BP is only during your migration. When you are migrating from ECC to S4 HANA, that is where you are going to use customer to BP, because you're not creating a new one. You already have the customer. Now you want to add a BP to the customer, correct?
Correct.
So during your migration, you are going to use customer to BP. After the migration, you will use BP to customer.
Okay. So the process is still the same.
Yeah.
It's just okay.
And you
But
will
of
have some programs given by SAP for this migration. You have to run those programs. Okay, when you run this program, the prerequisite is this checkbox is enabled in your CVI setting, and when you run that program, system will select all the customers that are currently available in your ECC system. Against each customer, the same customer code it will add as a BP number.
hmm, okay.
Got it?
Yeah, I got it. I'm just trying to visualize the process, since we have not actually done
Yeah.
it. Is it going to be too much of a request to ask if maybe one of these sessions, if you just can maybe give us a
No, this we cannot do it because we cannot replicate that conversion here. This is
right,
possible only, yeah.
right.
But the logic
Okay,
is the same. As I said, in the migration, you just need to maintain that setting, and SAP gives different programs. There will be a document, the conversion document. In that document, it will tell during your CVI to transfer customer vendor into the business partner, execute this particular program. Before executing this particular program, SAP will tell these are the prerequisite. Maintain this setting, and after this you execute this program. In the same sequence, you have to run the activities.
okay,
Yeah.
okay. And is this done by
All
the
right.
migration team or the FI?
In the migration, these activities are done collectively by FI consultant and SD consultant in case of a customer.
Okay, okay, fair enough. Thank you.
Yeah. All right. Rupa.
Yeah, so my doubt is like when we receive any ticket from support ticket, like where we'll be checking that, doing that solution in the development server?
Whenever you receive any support ticket, the problem is in the production system. You will first check in production only.
Like we'll be having access to production
Yes, we will
server.
have access to production, but only display mode. We cannot post anything, we cannot change anything, but you can display everything in production. If you are a FICO consultant, you will have access to FICO transaction codes display mode. Like now I am on the change business partner. In the production system, you will be able to come to business partner, but you can only display this.
Mm-hmm.
So when you try to click on this change mode, it will give an error message stating that you are not authorized to display. Sorry, change.
Then how can we make the changes in scenarios, like just how we did now in case of different scenarios?
Those changes are to be done in the development system, because when you receive any ticket from client as part of support, you are going to consider that as an incident and as a change request. Incident is a ticket where there is no configuration, which means you're not going to maintain any changes in the system. That is your incident. Now there are some incidents which will require changes in the system. In short, changes of the configuration.
Okay.
So in that case, your incident will become a change request. You call it as a CR. So change request is created for configuration. For non-configuration, you use only the ticket or only the incident. Through email or through call, you are going to provide the solution. It will be resolved.
Okay. And for change request, if we do in development server, like we'll not be updating any masters in development, right? We'll be doing directly into either quality or pre-production, then into production. So how can we check in case of change request in development, like no transaction data
We
will
have
be available?
no, it will be available. Normally, what we will do is periodically, maybe once in every 3 months or once in every 6 months, data from the production will be copied to quality and development. In most of the clients, it is the same. Like whatever the data is there in production as on today, they will copy the total data from production to quality and then development, so that in development you will have all the cases, all the transactions masters that are available from the development, sorry, in the production on a key date. Otherwise you have to create all the masters transactions to test it. So that will be our responsibility, because we need to make sure our changes are working fine, right?
Yeah.
For
So
that,
in
if
real
it
time,
is,
we'll be okay.
go ahead.
So in real time, either we'll be copying the every transaction per three months into development.
Yeah, we in the sense it is the activity of a basis consultant. Some
Okay,
clients they
every
will copy once in 3 months. Some clients they
okay,
copy once in 6 months, likewise, depending on the data size.
okay, sir. And also one more
Yeah.
question is, in the next payment run, we have given the date as a next date. So in real time, how frequent we'll run that, like daily basis or weekly?
Normally, every company will have a policy like every week we will have payment on scheduled days, like every Monday and every Wednesday we will have payment, or thrice a week, let's say Monday, Wednesday and Friday we will have payment. So depending on the company, they will have the dedicated days for payment. If a company is processing payment twice a day, Monday and uh, Thursday. Now, when they run payment on Monday, they will put next payment date of Thursday date.
Okay.
Okay, when they run it on Thursday, they will put next payment date as again Monday date.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
If they do
Like
not
it's again.
have, if they do not have any such logic, they will put tomorrow's date, next date,
Okay. Every day.
every day.
Okay, sir. And also one more, like yesterday, you said like we will create house banks in the Fiore's screen only. So can't we create house banks in GUI in case of S4HANA, or
No.
either of the way
In
we
case
can
of
create?
S4HANA, you cannot create it. In S4HANA, it is purely in GUI because it is part of master data. In ECC, that was part of your configuration. That is why we were creating it in GUI, and that will generate a TR number. In S4HANA, it is not a configuration, it is a master data. So for this,
Okay.
only Fury screen to be used. Until 1909, we use Net NWBC. You have NetWeaver screen. From 2020 onwards, the Fury screen. There is a dedicated application called Manage Bank Accounts. There we are going to create.
Yeah. Okay, sir. Thank you.
Yeah, Vinod.
Sir, that payment list and account list will save in any other folder, or like only this is only display pub?
Which one? Which one?
That our proposal list and exception list will save in any other folder, or like it's only
No, no, no. We
show
don't
in
save
the
it in any
open.
folder. No, we don't store it in any folder. This one you mean to say?
Yes, our proposal, edit proposal
Yeah,
list that.
yeah. We don't store this anywhere because you can download this directly. If you go to edit, and from here only you can download it. From here you can take this into spreadsheet, Excel.
Can we get
Because
all the proposal list like day wise, weekly wise, monthly wise?
for that you have to take it from the table, or you can get a query report by the ABAP consultant. You can do it.
Okay, sir.
Yeah. Sandeep?
Am I audible?
Yeah, you're audible.
Sir, I have an small doubt with the banking part.
Okay.
So the thing is that whenever any bank charges that gets occurred, so how, for suppose 500 rupees is the bank charge, so there will be some tax amount that is will be included in the charges. So how that will be separated while doing the BRS?
Now, normally bank charges are direct postings, so we don't do anything with respect to BRS. Okay, because when you process any payment, let's say your vendor outstanding is 1000, you processed payment of 1000. To process this 1000 payment, assume your bank had charged 50 rupees.
Okay.
Now you ended up paying 550.
Okay.
Now when you do the BRS, this 500 will appear separately because this is the transfer amount, and the 50 rupees is the additional charge that bank took from you as bank charges. 50 will appear as a separate line item in bank statement, and 500 will appear as a separate line item in the BRS, your bank statement. So 500 you will adjust with your vendor line item, in short your bank outgoing. This 50 you will directly post it to expense account by crediting your bank main account. And if there is any tax in it, that a tax will be appeared separately in your bank statement, because bank also cannot say that this 50 inclusive of tax, right?
But in bank statement, we never see charges and taxes for the charges separately, most.
No, taxes, whoever it is telling, they have to separately give you the bank charge, the tax portion separately. Nobody will include it. They'll give you the segregation because these taxes are supposed to be reporting, right?
Yeah, because corporates claim input tax on the charges thing.
Right.
So,
So if you want
so
to
how the taxes
separately,
will
we have to instruct bank to give taxes separately. You have to instruct the bank. Then
in
based
the
on your
statement itself,
request, yeah, based on your
in MT
request, bank
940 or
will
whatever.
add, yeah, in any format.
Okay,
Bank will segregate taxes separately. Otherwise, bank will not segregate.
okay. So
They'll
let's
include
suppose,
and then they'll give. Yeah.
okay. So let's suppose tax amount is separated in the statement. So in this scenario, uh, and let's suppose the MT 940 or whatever format is there. When we are uploading the statement into the system, do we have to maintain the whole BRS configuration for the tax part? I mean, the bank account
No,
symbols
no, no,
and
no, no, no,
identity,
no. You will
or
just
how
create a
system is.
separate posting rule for it.
Okay.
Okay, and if your client wants to take this tax portion to a dedicated tax account, because you are going to
Okay.
expense it out, that tax. You cannot claim that from
Correct.
this anywhere, right?
Yeah, it would be
So
expense.
you are
Yeah.
going to expense it out. So you will take it
No,
to,
sir. The tax part usually companies claim. No, how can I show it as an expense?
no, on this bank charges and all, you cannot claim it. You can claim it if you are redoing anything with it. Let's say you're purchasing, now you are selling, then you can claim it. Let's say
Okay,
now
but
let's
as
say
per
you purchased
definition,
some item for your personal
yeah.
use. Now, can you claim tax from government for it? You paid a tax, can
No,
you
sir.
claim it?
No, for business purpose you can do. We can do now, sir. For suppose any, even if the inventory also we can claim input on that. So whatever taxes that gets, so, I'm just asking you. I'm not sure. Whatever thing that I have knowledge with, I'm just sharing you. Please correct me if I'm wrong.
Mhm.
So whatever things, whatever taxes, whatever input taxes that usually occurs, anything that you put to business, so that on that part we can claim input GST, no, sir, with from government. So that is something I
If you are
thought that even on the
adding,
banks.
if you are adding value to it, then you can claim it. If not, you are the end customer for it, no?
But if I'm doing vendor payment and for that any bank charges happen, for that I can claim, I guess.
You cannot claim for the vendor payment. You can
Okay.
claim for vendor
Okay.
purchase, not for payment.
Vendor. Okay. Purchase. Okay. Okay. Vendor payment, I can't claim the tax.
Mhm. You cannot claim.
Okay.
So
Okay,
these are
sir. And
basically
one.
expensed out. That's why
Okay. The
whatever you
charges needs to be
process
explained.
from this, you don't input any tax code and all. It's a direct posting. If you want separate classification on it, then you will take it to a different GL account. Otherwise, you will include it as part of your bank charges only.
Okay. Okay, sir, one more doubt. Why bank? So I actually talked to one of my friend and he said that bank is created as a vendor in their organization. I couldn't understand the logic behind it.
No, in case if they are using a treasury, then they can create this as a vendor. In case if they are processing any kind of loans, these kind of things, in that case they can create as a vendor. Only in these two cases they'll create. If you have loans, borrowings, these kind of
Okay.
things, then they'll create as a vendor. Especially from the treasury side, we will be creating bank also a vendor.
Okay. 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 If treasury team is there for they from for their operations, they will create bank as vendor.
Correct. For normal finance FI, we don't create as a vendor. You will create them bank as a vendor only in case if you have bank loans and all.
Okay. So, okay, sir. In this case, what would be the reconciliation account?
You can create a separate this one bank loans as a reconciliation, bank loan payable likewise, like domestic vendor and all. You will create another reconciliation called bank loans.
Okay.
Yeah, only for the identification purpose. Like you don't want to create n number of bank GL accounts. Instead, you will have one single bank loan reconciliation account. Wherever you are taking the loan, every bank loan account you are going to create as a different vendor.
Oh,
So in
okay.
your financials,
Okay.
it will appear as a single line item, but to see the respective loan, you need to go to the dedicated loan vendor account, like HDFC loan 1, HDFC loan 2, 1 and 2 maybe two different vendor accounts.
Okay.
Okay,
But sir,
it
if this
purely
is the
depends on
purpose,
how you want to have the reporting requirement.
okay.
Yeah.
So if this is the purpose, creating loan account as an open item also fulfills the same, right?
But in that case, it's a single GL account, but wherever you're taking the loan, you'll have to put everything in single GL account, right? That GL account will
Correct.
not tell
Correct.
you from where the loan is coming. You'll have to go inside end of the day or end of over a period of time. If you have 100 transactions there, how do you segregate which transaction is from which loan, when it was taken, when it was paid? You'll have to sit and do a manual reconciliation.
Okay, okay. So
So
separate
that's why
account has
they,
to be maintained.
correct. So the whole point is, tomorrow, if I wanted to reconcile it, if I wanted to pull the data, can I do it?
Correct. Understood, sir.
Yeah,
Thank you, sir.
yeah. Nagavina?
Hello, Ajay. Like if in the legacy system, if we want to implement to the new system, how many vendors usually we transfer the balance? Like how many years? Like how many years balance
It's
we
only the
transfer?
open item. We will only transfer the open item. So depending on the company, there may be 1000 open transactions, there may be 2000 open transactions, there may be only 200, 500. So on an average, minimum 1000 open transactions will be there.
Like if the company has, if it wants from 2020 to 2023, whatever vendors are there, they want to transfer, means we have to put the years transfer like that, or what?
No, no, no,
Is
no,
it
no. We don't transfer like that. Now, if you see this vendor report, if I see this vendor account, if I show all line items, how many line items are coming?
how many line
Total.
items?
Down below, there is a count.
10.
10 items. Now, out
Okay.
of this 10, whatever is in green, they are already settled.
Yeah.
Now, these settled transactions we do not migrate, because these transactions are not part of your trial balance, as the sum of these entries is 0, total is
Yeah.
0.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, these are not part of your trial balance, and only the open transactions are part of your trial balance. Whatever is there, 2500, this 2500 will be part of your trial balance. Client will give us only these open transactions.
Oh, okay. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we don't transfer the settled transactions or cleared transactions. We don't do it. Even if
Okay.
client wants it, we don't recommend it. Because if you upload any entry, normally what we will do, you are going to put a single line item. It's like this vendor account credit for 2000, migration account debit for 2000.
Yeah.
Again, this 5500 credit vendor account and debit migration account. But for this, you cannot do that way, because this is not outstanding. Now,
Mm-hmm.
if you have to transfer this, you have to transfer this plus the payment account separately. So it's kind of a JV, which we do not do it. We don't recommend also.
Okay. And another one is if we have the check balance something, then do we migrate that or no?
Check balance, you mean to say in the bank
Yeah.
outgoing account?
Yeah.
Yeah, those we will migrate. Again, that is open items only. Whatever is unreconciled, only those unreconciled transactions we will migrate. They are also same thing. For your bank sub accounts also open item managed.
Mm-hmm.
If it is outstanding, in short, if it is not yet reconciled, it will appear with red indicator open. If it is reconciled, it will appear with green indicator. Whatever is already reconciled with their bank statement, we don't migrate them. Whatever is not yet reconciled, which means whatever is still open, those entries we will migrate.
Okay. So we don't consider any previous years, whichever is settled, just only the open items we migrate and
Yeah,
okay.
correct. Because
And
a settled transaction is not part of a trial balance. Usually, whatever the migration that we do, it is part of TB.
okay.
Yeah, for the historical data, they have to refer the legacy system only. Even though they are not going to use it, but they will still have the access to it to see the historical data.
Yeah, I was going through one forum there. There it was saying that the requirement was they have to transfer the 5 years vendor balances, everything. So I
No,
was
no,
thinking,
we don't
how
do
do
it.
they do that? Okay.
We
And
don't do
and
it.
you were saying about the payment method, the first preference will be in the APP, and then it will go to the vendor, then it will go to the invoice. How is the sequence in this one?
No, first preference is your master data. System will check if payment method is there in master data, and
Okay.
then it will also check if payment method is there in transaction data. If you put payment method in master data, it will take from master data. If payment method is not there in master data, but it is there in transaction data, it will take from transaction. In case, if you put payment method both at the master data level plus at the transaction data level, system will ignore master data. Whatever is maintained at the transaction, that is considered. So transaction data, payment method is final.
Okay. So transaction data has the first preference, then the master data, then it will compare with the APP like that you are saying.
Correct.
Okay, yeah, got it. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Abhi?
Sir, good evening, sir. Sir, can you
Yeah.
please tell me something about COE, sir? Center of Excellence.
What is it?
Center of Excellence. Hello? Am I audible, sir?
Yeah. No, I'm not.
Or
I'm not sure what is this.
COE, Center of Excellence, sir.
I need
What
to
is the
check
role?
this.
Okay,
आप एक
okay,
बार
sir.
क्वेश्चन
Okay.
करना हाँ
I have to. I'll check and tell you what it is.
Okay,
I'm
sir.
not sure what it
Okay.
is. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. I'll ask end of the class, sir. After recording
Yeah.
stop. Okay, sir.
Yeah. Vinod?
So that as like Sandeep said, that bank charges is whatever tax is that's actually eligible tax input. And sir, actually, I want to check with you one thing. In BRS, when we are doing income bank charges and all, I want to bring cost center or profit center. Can we achieve this in the BRS, or is there is any configuration for this?
You have to achieve this point number one with your default account assignment. Like for your, if you wanted to bring cost center, you have to maintain OK B9 setting. Okay. If you wanted to bring profit center, you have to bring your FAGL 3K EH setting, default profit center, if it is 1-to-1 mapping. Otherwise, you have to achieve this through your search strings.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. Tunde?
Thank you, Ajay. Please, is it possible for me to get from you any kind of documentation and steps for credit cards? That
Credit
came up.
card payment, credit card integrations.
Yes, that came up in my interview, and I was wondering if you had anything you could share with me, so I could, I don't know,
Yeah.
videos, documents, anything.
Let me check and then share you. Just put a message to me on my WhatsApp. I'll check and then share you.
Thanks, sir.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Fine then. Let me stop the recording.